In today's video, we have some massive news surrounding WWE NXT Europe. We're also going to talk about some more information on a potential WWE sale because a top suitor might be backing out from possible talks. Also, Ring of Honor news. Guys, if you want more videos like this, click that subscribe button. As always, timestamps in the description down below. I actually want to kick things off with Comcast, NBC, Universal. I thought this was really interesting. David Faber, this is interesting. So, CNBC's David Faber says Comcast isn't interested in buying WWE. Now, while interviewing Nick Khan on the show today, basically he spilled the beans to Tony Khan and basically said that he is actually hearing that Comcast probably isn't going to buy WWE. He says, I hate to say it, although another name I do hear is Endeavor. The idea of bringing together UFC and WWE would be very robust. But then what was really interesting is Nick Khan says, I think they are all possible. We're still bullish on Comcast being possible. Obviously, there's only so much I can say at this moment, but we certainly got a warm reaction in the marketplace from those who seem interested. This is obviously big news, especially WWE in a situation where they're looking at selling the company. And from my understanding, CNBC is actually technically owned by Comcast, NBC Universal. So there is this situation right now where WWE is obviously going to have big interest. I actually think Comcast having ownership of WWE is probably the most best option, I think, maybe. So here's the thing, right? It really depends on who's going to keep Vince and who's not going to keep Vince. Companies like Disney, NBC, Fox, right? Like these types of companies, these television network companies, I don't think they're going to have interest in keeping Vince McMahon. And realistically, I don't know if I'd want Vince McMahon a part of WWE. In fact, I know I wouldn't want Vince McMahon part of WWE because I feel like Triple H has done such a great job with WWE to begin with. But nonetheless, there's some very interesting stuff happening here when it comes to NBC, when it comes to WWE, when it comes to what is being said. Nick Khan immediately shutting it down. But obviously, within time, we'll kind of figure out how things go. Guys, I want to talk about Ring of Honor. I'm actually really in love with this news. Because finally, Ring of Honor is doing weekly television. Fightful Select had reported that ROH Tapings are lined up for the end of February in Orlando, Florida. While a venue hasn't been 100% confirmed, talent is presuming that the tapings will occur at Soundstage of Universal Studios, where AEW regularly tapes AEW Dark and obviously in the past. Now, Voices of Wrestling had previously reported that Ring of Honor would hold tapings on February 25th and 26th, so this would line up with what Fightful has reported. But this is obviously some really big news. And also, one thing that I am hearing about, which is very, very interesting, there is some independent talent who have not been revealed to AEW's roster or ROH's roster who are canceling bookings around that same time. Now, there's a lot of names that are being discussed here, but it sounds like Ring of Honor could actually have a very unique roster that hasn't been disclosed to the public just yet, which will be very, very interesting to see how that pans out, because Tony Khan, for the most part, when he brought in certain talent that were, part of ROH or whatever, he did say that they were all elite. So the fact that there is indie talent out there who are canceling bookings around the same time tells me that there are a lot more people signed to Ring of Honor that we actually know about. Now, this could all be purely a coincidence, but with Ring of Honor doing weekly television, I don't really care where it's at. I think the idea of them doing it in Universal Studios makes a lot of sense. I think it could be a really good idea for Tony Khan. I just want one thing to be very clear. If you're on the Ring of Honor roster or if you're on the AEW roster, I feel like it has to be made known, because I don't want to see too much of a crossover. Guys like Cesaro being part of a faction and then, being on both because he's champion, that is something I can understand. But I don't want to see people from AEW floating onto Ring of Honor or people floating onto Ring of Honor to AEW. Technically, these are two different companies. It's not like it's another brand of AEW, and therefore I don't believe it should be treated as such. But I'm actually excited about Ring of Honor, and I think weekly television is going to be a good deal. We know that weekly television will be part of Honor Club, not an ideal television strategy. Ultimately, this might not work. I think a lot of people understand that this could potentially not work. But as a fan of wrestling, I am willing to give this a chance. I just want to see what they do. And I really hope Tony Khan knows how to differentiate Ring of Honor to AEW, because that's going to be really, really important. If he doesn't differentiate the two, I think a lot of people will be disconnected with it. But I definitely will support this. I will definitely create content on this. And I do have plans, depending on how they distribute Ring of Honor, I do have plans on doing the television show reviews for this show. I understand that viewership may not be high because you guys care about WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Dynamite, but I do think I would like to add ROH to the mix. It just depends on when Tony Khan, I should say, distributes the show. Depending on the date and time, that's going to be really important, because if they're doing it, let's say on Thursday nights, maybe we could do like an Impact and ROH live stream. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's like some really good stuff. I want to get some feedback from you guys. Speaking of feedback, I have a form in the first comment. It's going to be a pinned comment. I'm taking feedback on the channel. Things that you guys want to see differently, maybe ways I can improve. I like connecting with my audience, and I think your guys' feedback is valuable. So if you guys are interested in helping out, it's completely anonymous. Check out the link. It's going to be in the pinned comment. NXT Europe. Guys, this is a really interesting situation. So we got to talk about this. Now, I don't talk too much about Slice Wrestling and some of the stuff that comes from Slice Wrestling, but I have been given a lot of questions through the DMs and in Discord about this specific tweet. Somebody tweeted at Slice asking if NXT Europe is still a thing. This was during a Q&A. Slice says no, along with NXT UK and NXT South America. Now, this is really, really interesting, and I felt like I need to make a video on this because a lot of people are wondering what is going on. Shawn Michaels just talked about this on the media call the other day, and that's one thing I want to read off to you guys too. So when Shawn Michaels gave an update to NXT Europe, he revealed that the infrastructure plans for NXT Europe are already moving forward. He says, for NXT Europe, we are moving forward. And that's one of the things, again, we're starting to, I guess, what we call the infrastructure in place. So to me, that's always a positive thing, and obviously looking for venues and dates. We are moving forward on it. Obviously, hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll be thrilled to have an announcement. Given some idea about direction and time, things are moving forward from an infrastructure standpoint. We actually have meetings about that next week, so hopefully we find out more information on that as well. Now, because I'm getting so many questions on this, it's really difficult for me to tell you guys exactly what to expect. Quite honestly, I could see a situation with Vince McMahon coming back where maybe WWE's whole initial NXT globalization plans are put on hold. But also, I think regardless of who owns the WWE, regardless if Vince McMahon is there or not, the idea of WWE building performance centers and shows on a global scale is actually massive for WWE. So on one hand, I actually could see Slice Wrestling's tweet being pretty accurate, but on the other hand, just going off of the words of Shawn Michaels, I do have to believe that WWE really has plans in motion. It's definitely interesting, but a lot of people were asking me for my take on this, and I felt like I should make a video to kind of verbally explain how I feel about it. I'm not saying Slice is lying. I'm not saying Slice is 100% accurate here, but it's very interesting because not a lot of people are talking about this. And if NXT Europe is canceled, I mean, realistically, I think that means Triple H is out the door the minute the company is sold. I really do genuinely believe that. But of course, we'll see how things go. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.